Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and shows.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication. It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there.
Don't face me, bro.
It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to
Hey, Cherry, wake up.
Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those other wonderful places on the internet, such as Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and of course our own website. I am Cian, and with me once again is Dara, and we're going to have a huge movie roundup, as it has been a surprisingly busy movie season. But, Dara, is there anything you want to chat about before we get into the nuts and bolts of everything?
Ahoy. So I am on location in Edinburgh at the moment. It seems like every time I go to do a show, I'm in a different part of somewhere. So yeah, it's crazy. I hope the hotel Wi-Fi holds up. This week I did the Wrestling Rewind last week, and I didn't have a microphone at all. So at least I remember to pack a microphone with me now. So, you know, it does the trick. So hopefully this sounds pretty good. But no, doing pretty well, man. It's been a crazy couple of days at this AI conference. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting in and nerding it up. But I have to say, usually we do the show and news breaks as soon as we wrap. But it looks like we're ahead of it because a lot of news broke today and yesterday. Like, I woke up today and my phone was everything was just showing loads of clips of Spider-Man. And we will talk about it, but we won't talk about it now. But I was just like, what happened? Is this AI? Is this made up? And then I was like, oh no, the trailer dropped. So we will talk about that because that's a pretty cool topic to get into. But we have a full plate, man. There's so much to talk about. So where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start with a follow-up to our local phenomenon. In case anyone is either missed last week's show or is not in Ireland, there was sort of a local blip of a phenomenon where a show called K-Pop Forever came to Dublin or came to Belfast, and it caused a furore on TikTok because loads of parents went, and whether they were expecting a K-Pop Demon Hunter show or just weren't impressed with kind of what was on show, it blew up anyway. So I wanted to do an honest follow-up because, you know, I in my capacity as like an after-school teacher, I talk to a lot of people and go to a lot of places. And I wanted to walk back some of the things I said because at least as far as the students I talked to who attended, they all seemed to have a lovely time at it and really enjoy it. I still get a bit of a vibe off it because one of the students mentioned there were like only 2 singers and the rest were like lip syncing and stuff. But you know what? If at least amongst all the people I've talked to in Dublin, they seem to have really enjoyed it in a non-upset, non-controversial way. So I'm happy they're happy. I got a bit of a vibe off it. I stand by my comments, but I'm glad that people ended up enjoying themselves.
I think your comments are unfair. I think they were up there. I at no point did I think it was. And look, I respect them. I understand where you're coming from, but I just don't think it's similar to the Willy Wonka thing. Like, as I said, I'll be honest with you, right? I wish that still existed. I would pay and I stand by these comments, Kim. I would go to that Willy Wonka thing or Willy's Chocolate Adventure every month. At least if there was a season pass I could buy, I would go to it.
I mean, it might just be you.
The unknown itself is the coolest, most random thing ever. And the fact that that exists and I can't go and give money to that and support that, I'm very sad about. They're leaving money on the table, and there's something that I don't like and that bugs me about anything is when people leave money on the table, because it's just like, there's a market, why aren't you filling that market? You know what it's like, Kane? You know what this is like?
What is it like?
Anna? So Disney now at the moment are renovating Galaxy's Edge, right?
Right.
So Galaxy's Edge, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically Star Wars in Disneyland. So you can go to a place called Batuu and, you know, visit a cantina, get a lightsaber, do all the Star Wars bits, right? However, it's themed after the Last Jedi and just before the Rise of Skywalker, right? So it is theme locked in the sequel trilogy, which, as you know, I am not a fan. Keen is a fan of it. A lot of us aren't very fond of it. I'm more harsh on than Keen, but still, we both dislike it, right?
I'm lukewarm on it. I wouldn't. It isn't my life in high school or anything like that.
That's fair. But the thing about it is, it's like a lot of people are, as you said, lukewarmed to actively hating it. So, I mean, even still, I think it's one of the most incredible places to go to if you're a Star Wars fan. But, you know, last time I was there, I completed it. I finished it. You know, I remember distinctly finishing the last puzzle on my phone and being like, okay, I'm done now. Because it's done, right? It's just kind of finished. And I think Disney either realized that or someone kind of said it to them, where it's like, you need to actually add stuff here. And what they've started to do now is they're re-teaming the eras. So, like, the Rise of the Resistance is the main ride, and it is incredible. It really is. Look it up if you haven't, or, you know, if you're going to California or to Orlando, absolutely go to it. It's unbelievable. Anything I could say will not do it justice, right? But that's still going to stay the same. That's going to be obviously themed to the sequels, because it kind of has to be, right? The whole thing is about the Rise of the Resistance. You know, you can't, and you go through a Star Cruiser and the whole thing. You really, really can't retheme that to anything else. However, the rest of the land, it's more open. You know, the rest of the land has like a big, you know, it has a big market, cantina there, so you can retheme that. And apparently they're going to retheme that to the original, the OT, and the Millennium Falcon is there. So they're actually going to retheme that to be a OT area where you can meet Chewbacca, and Luke Skywalker's going to be there, Han Solo, etc., etc. And then they're going to retheme. There's going to be different like prequel bits as well, but they're going to retheme the Stormtrooper area to be more OT, right? So that's cool, right? I think that's a really cool use of it. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know why they didn't just do that from the beginning. And look, we've even floated stuff here on the show where we're like, oh, they could do like seasons where it's like, this is the OT, this is the prequels, blah blah blah. So it seems like there is like a new push for this with Disney, and they have a new CEO. Apparently, the guy who's running the parks, I'm not sure if he's running Disney proper, but he is like very high up in Disney at the moment. He's a parks guy, so he is like, parks come first. So that's actually pretty cool for someone who is very much a Disney fan and goes to the parks, lucky enough to go to the parks a fair bit. It's I hope to bring the price down, because I don't know if you know this or not, Keen, but a day in Disneyland in California can go anywhere from $150 to $500 for a day. So,
Oh my God.
that's pretty steep. Now, as I said, you're paying $500. It's 2 parks, and you're paying for the fast pass and that whole thing. But $500 is still very expensive. So they need to get those prices down. But this is a cool move to make that happen. Now, what I will say is, though, and the reason why you're bringing it up, I want an Empire ride in Disneyland.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. What does this have to do with the unknown?
I know, because I'm just saying,
Where we started.
leave.
I was in relation to the K-pop. We're going levels of references down.
No, I'm just saying, because the unknown is leaving money on the table. If you have like, they should have like an installation in Glasgow where you can go and experience Willy's chocolate adventure, and the unknown is there. You can sell t-shirts and you could do a whole thing. I mean, here's the thing. If I had money to kind of throw away at stupid things like that and invest in it, I would actually set up a proper one of those. where the unknown is like a main character, and just for the absurdity of it, people will actually go. But they're leaving money on the table, and I think Disney are doing the same thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like you should be out. Like Chewbacca walks out, and then the stormtroopers are there, and you go over and you're like, listen, he's over there, arrest him, and they actually don't. That's so annoying as like a world building when you should be able to like see Chewbacca be arrested and like on trial and as a little show. But I don't know why they don't do that. It's like, why have the stormtroopers walking around and interacting if you can't get Chewbacca arrested? You know, it's that they should lean into it where it's like the Empire wins at some point, you know, and that's all I want. Like a TIE fighter where you're in the TIE fighter and you're shooting down like the Millennium Falcon. Money on the table. That's where I was going.
Okay, I get you. I mean, how do you sell an experience to like a wide audience where the heroes lose, though?
Because you're sick of the heroes winning, and also heroes.
You're sick of the heroes winning.
No, a hero is relative. I mean, for some people, the Empire are the heroes, and the rebels are the bad ones.
Which people?
I'm sure there's people out there who are like,
statistically, there must be one. What's this going to be like you at the Willy Wonka thing? It's like you. I'll try it for the novelty. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see the marketing appeal. Like
no, because Disney are building. Where this comes from is that Disney are building a villain's land in Disney World. Right.
Now that I could see working. It's like a wing of that. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying to you. Yeah, it's like, you know, if they're doing that, give people an option, because Disney have like, it's weird because for a while they were like, oh, we don't need the money, and then they're like, we need all the money, and now they're like, okay, let's actually make people want to come to our parks and enjoy it by catering for certain aspects. And I just don't know why when it's a Star Wars thing, they just don't lean into the Imperial side of it or the First Order side of it, because they have a store and they're recognized that people think it's cool. But whenever you do the rides, like, I don't want to see Finn win. You know, you should be able to kill him in one of the rides, you know, and just see them lose and be like, oh, that was great, and then just do that. And then, you know, I don't want to see, you know, Rey win. I don't really, you know, yeah. It's very tiresome when you do the ride at Rise of Skywalker. You're just like, you guys didn't deserve this. Kylo Ren should have won, you know. I don't even like the sequel trilogy, but it would just be nice to have like a TIE fighter simulator or something where you could shoot down the rebels and just have an experience of being an Imperial pilot. I think that would be cool. But again, if I'm the only one who wants that, I can't be. Surely can. There has to be someone else who wants the Empire to win.
I mean, I could totally see, like, it's a shame they can't hop to, like, the Clone War period, because, like...
Even the Clone Wars, yeah.
There's a case to be made that, since they're both villains anyway, there'd be nothing controversial about having a Clone Wars story route or a Trade Federation story route, as long as you had a relatively likable character on both sides, like...
Yeah, I think Disney's scope, like, one of the greatest things is when you're on Star Tours. Have you ever done Star Tours?
No, I've never been to any of these theme parks.
So Star Tours is a very, very old ride. It's even in Disneyland Paris, which is, you know, they should build out a Star Wars land in Disneyland Paris. But yeah, Star Tours is, for want of a better word, it's set in a Star Wars airport, and it literally feels like you're in an airport. And I actually really like Star Tours. It's very charming. But basically, they're a tourist vessel that you're supposed to go to a different planet. And in the original Star Tours, I think you were going to Endor, and you know, the ship gets knocked off course, and you end up doing like the Star Wars trench run of the Death Star, and it's just really fun and really cool. But obviously, that got old after 20 years, so they upgraded it in 2007. And now every single ride of Star Tours is different. So I did it 15 times in a row once, which I wouldn't recommend because your back gets really, really sore. But the wait time was like 2 minutes. So I did it 15 times. And it's broken into 3 different sections. So it has like an opening, it has a middle, and it has an end. but all of those are randomized. So every single time you ride it, it's a different experience. Now, does it make sense? And sometimes not. Like you could get a section from, that's in Naboo during the prequels, you can get a sec, and then it'll jump to like Crate from the sequels, and then it could jump to like Hoth. So sometimes it doesn't make sense, but when it does line up, sometimes you'll get a perfect OT run, sometimes you'll get a prequel run, and then if the world is against it, you'll get a sequel run. But that being said, the rideability of it never really drops, and it's just a simulator, but it can be done. Like there's no real reason that you can't even retrofit one of those to be an X-Wing experience. And then that could even be, well, you can go X-Wing or you can go TIE Fighter. I just think they need to have like a real think about theming. And that's the thing that like Disney used to do really well, but just don't. And I'm just thinking, this is like, don't leave money on the table like that. But anyway, that's my rant. I want a Star Wars Imperial land. Even just make like Coruscant under the Imperial garrison. And then like, I think that'd be fun.
I think it's reaching the point where you're going to need to make a playlist of all the times you've dedicated time on this show to request an Imperial route in Star Wars land. I can think of at least 2 examples off the top of my head. I'm going a wee bit nuts here, Dara. I remember last time I suggested using the weird force corridors as a way to integrate all of the times, and that wasn't even to be confused with the other time we talked about. It's, you know what? I think it's getting to the stage where you just need to go to Orlando, wherever it is, with like one of those like sandwich boards and the megaphone, because this approach, I respect it. I don't think they're hearing you.
I don't think they are either. I'm hoping the YouTube people were here.
Maybe.
Reddit.
We have been getting a bit of love on YouTube. That is a point. I can't fully have it.
We have. Big shout out to everybody who follows us on YouTube now or like comments. That's really cool. Let's make it happen, guys. 2026. It's the year of a new reimagined Star Wars land. I just want to see Chewbacca arrested. Just one time, just see it. No, it's stupid because like the troopers come out and they're like, where is Chewbacca? And then you literally tell them where he is and they just walk away, and I'm like, this is stupid.
Isn't that totally in character for stormtroopers though? It's like missing, but with their eyes and legs.
I know, it's just, or even Kylo Ren, he asks, where's Chewbacca? And you point at them and he's like, oh, I don't know, and walks away, and you're like, I don't need my intelligence insulted by a theme park.
All right, well, tell you what, we'll put a pin in that and see how that little section does on YouTube. But let's talk about some films, because I'll be honest, I haven't even heard of some of these films that you suggested. So, I am dying to hear about The Bride, because we kind of mentioned it briefly last time we did a film section. So, tell me all about The Bride and everyone else.
So, unfortunately, this movie is absolutely bombing hard in the box office. And I don't really think that's fair. Like, I've heard some people say it's the worst movie of all time, and that's not true.
Whenever someone says that, I think, oh, that sounds like something I'd like.
Yeah, but I mean, like, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. I mean, like, yeah, and it's a kind of, it's been dragged into a culture war for some reason. It's just like, stop. That's silly. I didn't really get that from this movie. Like, the end of it, fair enough, it has a little bit of that, but I just went in and watched it as a movie because I like Christian Bale. I didn't even realize Maggie Gyllenhaal directed it until the end. But what was weird is, like, there's a cameo with Jake Gyllenhaal in it. And I was like, why is he doing a cameo? And then once I realized his sister was directing it, I'm like, oh, that's why he's in it. But no, listen, I went in and watched this with open mind and an open, like, open perceptions. There was no
preconceptions or anything.
Yeah,
there
was nothing coloring it at all, other than it's like, I like Christian Bale. I've never seen him in anything bad, so I'll go in and watch it. Like, I was kind of like, okay, this could be like Poor Things. This could be, there's other things that it could have been, and I think it sits quite well. But anyway, I'll tell you what it's about. So it's a retelling of The Bride of Frankenstein. Okay.
Right.
So it's set 50. So in this world, Frankenstein is real. Everyone is aware of what happened. It's not like a myth, but it has kind of fallen into legend a little bit because it's like 50 to 80 years after the initial events of Frankenstein. So it starts off with Mary Shelley being your narrator. And she's like, I have another story to tell. And she's like, this is about the bride. It has an interesting kind of like a narrative approach where like Mary Shelley is the voice of the bride. Because there's basically this girl, she's either a prostitute or an escort. And she is privy to a lot of mob conversations. And she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. They push her down a flight of stairs and she dies. But it's set up that Mary Shelley is possessing her, or the spirit of Mary Shelley is pushing this story forward. So anyway, Frankenstein comes to town, Chicago. He finds his doctor and he's like, look, I need a wife, right?
Now to find the doctor or like...
No, we're talking about the monster. We're talking about,
Gotcha.
but they call him Frankenstein, they call him Frank, but you know, it's just it's that kind of perception, you know, where most people don't realize that the monster's called the monster, not Frankenstein. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. But anyway, so he convinces the doctor, and the doctor is like, hey, okay, fine, we found this girl, blah blah blah, and then they end up in this whirlwind love affair, but it's still tied up with the mob, right? So the mob are hunting this girl down, and then it becomes a murder investigation. Some PIs get involved, and it is quite good. And then there's a lot of like Bonnie and Clyde symbolism, and it's just a wonderful like running thing with like Jake Gyllenhaal playing this 1920s, 1930s style vaudevillain dancer, you know, big movie star. And look, as I said, there's a lot of really good stuff there. It's stylistically really quite nice. Is the story kind of dumb? A little bit. Is it the best movie in the world? Absolutely not. But I didn't hate it. I thought it fell down. It fell down when it was just kind of focused on the two of them. There is some stupid stuff in this movie. Like Frankenstein gets a tattoo for some reason. That's kind of stupid. But
wait, is this set in the modern day then?
no, this is set in like a hyper realistic 1930s. But in that world, you know, so, and like the diegetic music is off-putting. Like it's totally kind of a mess. But at the same time, I think when it is focused, it has some really cool moments. Your one who plays the bride is really cool. The makeup isn't great. Like, as I said, like the actual, like, this
is Jessie Buckley, isn't it?
No, not her. The makeup of Frankenstein, Christian Bale.
Oh,
Christian Bale.
Then now the bride.
Yeah, she's actually really good. Her whole...
Well, I mean, she just won an Oscar this week, like.
Yeah, she's great. Or she's not the problem. The problem is, ironically, like as I said, the story is very... It's very messy. And when Frankenstein's makeup is done, sometimes it looks good, a lot of times it doesn't. I love Christian Bale because he's able to like disappear into roles. And in this, it's like he doesn't really do it. You know, I don't know if you've seen the movie where he plays... what's the... Dick Cheney.
Missed.
No, well, the Machinist is the obvious one, but it plays Dick Cheney.
Oh, I like that one.
That's a phenomenal movie. And you forget you're watching Christian Bale, right? It's actually unbelievable. In this, that doesn't happen. It's just like Christian Bale wearing a bad Frankenstein makeup. So the movie suffers from stuff that should have been its strength. And that's really, really the problem with it. You know, it's not a bad film, not by a long shot. And anyone's like, it's the worst film ever. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah, Maggie Gyllenhaal said it's a feminist movie. I'm like, okay, whatever. That doesn't matter. That's not really the problem. The problem is the actual story itself, I think, tried to tell too much without being focused.
Okay.
And it's a movie that suffers from a lack of focus. But
go on, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, but, you know, to wrap this up positively, and I really do want to be positive on this, the actual world setting. Like I would have really liked that this movie had been hard set in the 30s, or hard set in the 20s, where
Not a sort of implied timeless 30s, like.
yeah, if it had just been like, right, because like I love the PI stuff where you have Penelope Cruz and she's like the hard boiled detective with like her partner who's like properly corrupt, and it's just really good. So it has some really fun parts of this movie, but it's torn down by being like, yeah, it's the 30s, but here's some like music that doesn't fit in, or the tattoo thing. And it's just like, you don't need that. You don't need that, and it really just pulls me out of film.
Okay, because like it's interesting you sort of bring up that and sort of like the kind of culture stuff and all that, because like I'm a big fan of the original Frankenstein, be it the book, the play, movie, what have you, and like what is easy to forget, especially because Bride of Frankenstein is such a popular like 1950s movie, is that the bride in the original story is very, very treated very poorly. She's basically built, and then the doctor realizes that he's done something horrible, or at least he thinks he has, and destroys her straight away. So I'm really surprised. So I assumed that was what the angle was going to be for this film, where it was like, kind of like a different take on, kind of a gender flip take on the story from someone else's point of view. So I'm very surprised to hear that it's a more stylized, sort of bizarre, out of time romance thing and not something more traditional. But my question is, like, you were talking about Wuthering Heights last time. You seem to be warmer on this than that one, which was also sort of a weird, strange, esoteric take on it by a female director. Why is this one hitting where that one didn't?
I think Maggie Gyllenhaal is just a better director.
So, okay, simple as that. Okay.
And this, that's a really good question, Kane.
Like, not that I'm trying to pit like female directors,
no,
but the synchronicity did jump out to me.
No, look, I think it's a really good observation. It's more like the Wuthering Heights thing. It's a really cool music video, right?
Right.
As I said, the costumes are absolutely gorgeous. Some of the sequences are amazing. It looks really, really good. But that's all it has. It doesn't have anything else. It's just smut and garbage, right? And the fact that, like, it's offending so many people who love the book. It's like, it doesn't really have any redeeming features. What Wuthering Heights should have been is a band's music video.
Right.
And it would have been one of the coolest music videos ever, right? With this, all this really needed was a better edit.
Okay.
It just needed a tighter edit. It needed a slightly stronger performance from Christian Bale, or at least the makeup artist. Honestly, if Christian Bale wasn't Frankenstein, I think this would have been a lot better. And that's crazy because I'm a huge fan of Christian Bale. It just didn't work. But it could have. It's not far off the mark. Wuthering Heights is like, that's a music video. That's all it is. There's nothing else here. The Bride, it just needed a stronger edit, and it probably would have been fine.
Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, like, I didn't see this now, but from what you're kind of saying about it, like, it sounds like it's got no shortage of ideas, and even like the stuff that doesn't work quite as well does at least sound like interesting and ambitious.
Yeah, no, look, it's definitely a good watch. Like, Poor Things is the closest thing to it.
Oh, now you sold me on it.
Yeah, and I really like Poor Things, but it's like, it's a better movie than Poor Things, if that makes sense.
Is it Gyllenhaal's first directorial gig, by the way?
I think so, yeah. Like,
it's a bold swing, I must say.
But I didn't even know it was like the first. Like, again, the only thing that kind of tipped me off that something was weird was when Jake Gyllenhaal shows up in this cameo.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he doing? Like, he wouldn't.
Sorry, it's her second one. The Lost Daughter is her first one.
Okay.
Which also has Jessie Buckley in it. Okay, so obviously they've got a little like kind of family of people they're going to, which is always a good sign.
But yeah, like the first time I found out she was directing this is when her name popped up at the end of it.
Okay. Well, you know what? In spite of your kind of lukewarmness, I'm intrigued. I think I might see it now.
It's a good watch. Yeah, it's a good watch. But like when you are watching it, you'll see what I'm talking about. If this had been 20 minutes shorter with a tighter edit, it would have been received a lot better.
Yeah, I guess. Well, what about, because this title intrigued me, but I actually don't know anything about it. How to Make a Killing.
Yeah, so this is one that I was kind of really looking forward to seeing. The same actor whose name escapes me was in Running Man, and he's in like, you know, Anyone But Her, and it's just like, you know, he's kind of the it boy at the moment for Hollywood. I actually really quite like him, but it's weird, I don't really think he's like a movie star, if that makes sense. But Glen Powell, yeah, and he's in movies that I like, but every time I watch him, I'm just like, no, I don't think you're like the next Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or something like that. You're just kind of like the actor who's in these movies, but he's a good hand when he's in them, you know? Like even The Running Man, while it wasn't a great movie, he was still the best thing in it. But yeah, no, so this one basically, Glen Powell plays, can't even remember the character's name, but he plays this illegitimate
Red Fellow.
Beckett, that's it. So Beckett Redfellow is...
Great name, by the way.
It is. He's the illegitimate son of one of the Renfellows, and they're like the richest family ever. And the heir will inherit a fortune that makes Jeff Bezos look poor. Right. So it's something like a ridiculous amount of money, like 600 billion or something like that, right? And but he is illegitimate. So he was never, or his family was kicked out, his mom was kicked out, his dad died when he was born. There was no support or whatever. So he was aware that this fortune existed, but he might never get it. And one thing leads to another, and he's like, well, I'm going to see if I can get it or not. So he runs into his cousin, and the situation appears where he kills his cousin, right?
I'm going to stop you there. I haven't seen this film, but I am. But
I'm not getting spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil. Private, I realised this is a remake of Kind Hearts and Coronets, the Alec Guinness film, which I used to love as a kid. I didn't connect that until you started describing the plot. But sorry, before you go on.
Sorry, I'm not going to spoil it, but I wasn't aware this was a remake, but that actually makes... You know what? Now that you said it, this feels like a movie from like the 50s. Yeah, that makes so much sense. But anyway, so he killed his cousin, and it kind of sets up a new life for him, puts him on a new path. And, you know, he's kind of like... He's just picking off different members of the family, but he doesn't really want to do it at a certain point, and eventually kind of his hand is forced, and it goes through the whole rigmarole of it. And it's just a really good flick. The cast is very, very strong.
There's somebody looking at this, like Margaret Qualley, Jessica Henwick, like Topher Grace, Ed Harris. Loads of really big names in here.
Topher Grace's character is absolutely phenomenal. He's in it for like 5 minutes. It is unbelievable how good he is. And you know what? I love Topher Grace. Anytime he's in anything, I'm like, this is going to be real good. Like, the cast is great. As I said, the story is so tight. But again, you know what? I'm glad you said this was a remake, because it feels like a movie from the 60s. It has kind of that James Bond swagger to it, but it's out of time because it's in a modern setting.
Yeah.
Very, very good movie. Ed Harris plays the old patriarch very, very well. It's one of those movies where I'm like, you'll walk out, you won't feel like you wasted time. Definitely a movie to go see. Or here's the thing, if you don't want to go see it, definitely a movie to watch when it hits streaming.
Yeah.
And not just leave it sit. Like, it is a good time.
It's funny, actually, because you don't just... I think it's sort of the current movie landscape. Maybe it's Netflix's fault. But you don't just get kind of like, for lack of a better word, simple movies.
Yeah, you don't just get a movie.
Relatively uncomplicated. I got that vibe with Meet the Roses last year. It's like, this is just a movie, you know?
It's just a movie.
Yeah. And actually, you should watch the original, because I'm surprised they didn't port this over to this one. the main thing that's famous about it is that Alec Guinness plays 8 characters in the film who are all like different members of the family who have to keep getting killed off in ridiculous ways. So the conceit of every time he has to kill another one of them, it's Alec Guinness again. Like, you know.
That's really good. Actually, I kind of wish they did that in this one, but what they do in this one is actually kind of better because it's like random cameos or people playing against type.
I can see the appeal of that. Yeah.
Like there's obviously the Topher Grace one I'm not going to get into, but it's fantastic. But the guy one of them is one of the main characters of one of my favorite shows called Silicon Valley.
Right.
In Silicon Valley, he plays like a really uptight corporate guy who's like, you know, he's really, really nice, but also kind of psychotic. And in this, he's like a really laid back, super hipster, like artist. And the range is just great. I love when actors start chewing the scenery in a good way. And these kind of movies allow for that. So I had a phenomenal time, honestly. It's been a while that I just sat there and enjoyed a movie as much as I did as this one.
That's wonderful. Well, let's talk about one more film before we get to the Spider-Man stuff, because it is Spider-Man adjacent. Hail Mary. Hail Mary, I believe, is directed by the Spider-Verse directors. Is that right?
It's directed by Phil Lord and Gordon Miller, but it's written by Drew Goddard. So Drew Goddard has written everything. If you like superhero movies, he's written it. If you like Cabin in the Woods, he's written it. If you like Blade, he's written it. If you know, he's just
Wasn't
like
Drew Goddard also on the first season of the Netflix Daredevil? Did I dream that up?
He was. He as I said, if you like it, if you're listening to this show, if you're watching us on YouTube, you like Drew Goddard movies. Yeah, and it's written by the same guy who wrote The Martian.
Ah, well, there you go. That's fairly good endorsement.
So it's a very, very good, or it's a very, very good movie. You know, it's not as good as The Martian, and it's not as good as I was expecting it to be. And I like the cast. The cast is very small. It's a very self-contained movie, but I'm not. It's a soft recommendation.
How come?
The initial trailers sell it as something that it's not. The trailers after it's come out kind of sell it more. So if you like the trailers that you see now, absolutely go see it. Hard recommendation. If you want to go see it based on the trailers and marketing before it came out, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. And I don't really know why. But I'll try to explain.
Okay, well, back up. So, I should say it's Project Hail Mary, which I discovered when I just typed into my browser there, and suddenly I got a load of religious statues up. So, well, as somebody who hasn't seen any of the trailers, what's the conceit of Project Hail Mary?
So the conceit is that the sun is dying. So basically, the sun dies, everywhere dies, like our solar system collapses within 30 years. Sorry, within like 60 years. And you have 30 years before most of the food runs out and half the world dies, right? So that's why it's called like Project Hail Mary, because this approach is an absolute long shot that might not work.
Oh, I see. So it's more like a football, like a Hail Mary cross kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a Hail Mary play, exactly. And basically what they need to do is they need to send a scientist off to this part of the universe that's really, really far away to find and send back samples of why this virus that's killing the sun hasn't killed the sun there, despite the fact that it should have.
Right.
And it's like a very, very, like in the universe of it, it makes sense, but it is kind of conceited. It is kind of full of random conceits. But it is like when you're watching the movie, you don't doubt it at any point. You're like, yeah, of course that makes sense. That's how it would work. Blah blah blah. But the way the trailer set it up is that it's more like The Martian. It's more serious and high stakes. And I'm not saying that it's not high stakes or not, but the trailers have revealed this. He meets an alien, and the alien becomes his friend, right? Yeah, and it's he calls him Rocky, and it's super cute and all that kind of stuff. So it's a different movie, but then when you look at who's directing it, it's like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, right? So I'm a big fan of it. No, honestly, I
You see why the posters and all would give you the wrong impression. Yes.
yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I actually really like this movie. But if you go in expecting something like The Martian, which all the marketing before the movie came out is like, this is super serious, blah blah blah, and if you go watch it, and the countdown is still on. Like, the sun is dying, and billions of people will die. At the same time, you're watching it, you're like, it's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs in space. So it's a great movie. It really is. You'll have a good time, but just prepare yourself. If you want hard sci-fi, which I'll be honest with you, like that, the Martian is like the closest thing to like real world science in fiction that you'll see probably anywhere. You don't really get that with Project Hail Mary. So as I was saying, it's an absolute like great movie, and it really is. But at the same time, it's like, I really like Lord and Miller. Everything they've done, I've been a huge fan of, with the exception of this Across the Spider-Verse. And not because I don't like it. It's just, it didn't need to be 3 movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
But at the same time, that's a taste, you know, like there's a reason why they didn't finish Han Solo. Their style does not mesh with every story device. It didn't mesh. It wouldn't have really meshed with Han Solo's story. It doesn't really mesh with this, but it does. However, if you're going in expecting hard sci-fi, you'll be like, oh, I wasted my time. But then again,
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, but it's a good movie.
Well, can I ask then, because like all the marketing makes it look like that film Sunshine from years ago.
It does. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Is this a deliberate subversion, or is this a miscommunicate? Like, is it half an hour in, it's epic, and then all of a sudden it goes goofy? Or is this just a miscommunication in marketing?
A little bit from column A.
Okay.
Very much from column B. So yeah, half an hour in, it goes goofy, right? Real goofy, real fast, but not in a bad way. Like, it's a good movie. It's a sweet movie. It's a buddy cop. You know what it is? Remember the bit in The Simpsons when it's like, the movie works if you take out the talking pie, because it's just me for 3 hours. That's it. It's literally Ryan Gosling and this CGI rock creature for 2 hours. And it's a really sweet movie. You really, really care about the rock creature and his world and all that kind of stuff. And it's super nice, and it's really entertaining, and it's high stakes. But at the same time, you're expecting sunshine. You're expecting like a world ender. And then you get this and you're like, yeah, it's good. It just I think the problem was the stakes were too big for this. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's like, yeah, you know what? The weather's pretty bad, but you'll figure it out. And hey, look, at least you solved world hunger or whatever, right?
So it's hard to lose yourself in the goofiness when, like,
billions of people are going to die.
Your head, all of humanity is going to die. Like,
yeah, you're like, well, you know, the entire solar system, like the sun is dying, you know, and it's just like, yeah, and also like, he's so far away, he knows he's not going to make it back. It's a suicide mission. It's just like, it's very dark. It's very dark. And then it's just like, but in that darkness, it's also very, very sweet, you know? So I don't know. I think, like you talked about The Bride being a big swing, a brave swing. This is also kind of a brave swing, but the swing and a miss.
Well, something that's kind of refreshing here, you're talking about all these, is you have sort of a stylish feminist reinterpretation of both the first science fiction story and a 1950s like Bride of Frankenstein type thing. You have a remake of a 1950s English movie, and you have this sort of new kind of colorful take on a sci-fi thing. Like, I mean, even now I'm thinking of like stuff like Enemy Mine and stuff from the 70s, where it's like, you know, like you say, a buddy cop, astronaut, and a lizard have to get along kind of thing. I know these like aren't like the most tremendously original premises from these three. But it is nice to just be hearing about non-franchise kind of movies that are coming out without some sort of big hoopla around them. It kind of feels like we're kind of going back to the way things were about 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, and you know what? We needed movies because it's like, it's, you know, in a sense, with streaming being what it is, you can kind of go and lose yourself into whatever movie you want to go see. But it's nice to have these events where you're like, everybody can talk about Project Hail Mary. Everybody can talk about The Bride. And it's not like a superhero movie or it's not a franchise. It's just something that you can go in, you can watch, and then be like, oh yeah, this was weird. This was cool, blah, blah. Yeah, you're right. We haven't really had that water cooler moment or that schoolyard moment in about 20 years because if it didn't involve Marvel or if it didn't involve something online, people just weren't watching it. So I think Hollywood is finally starting to realize, make it smaller and make it a bit more unique and fun, and people will go.
Exactly. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, kind of illustrate kind of go back on ourselves a bit, I should say, because we're about to talk about the Spider-Man trailer.
Hey, look, the difference here
I
is,
feel like such a hypocrite. Let's get excited about a 14th Spider-Man movie after all this lovely artsy stuff.
yeah, but it's Spider-Man, man. Come on. I mean, even when Spider-Man's bad, it's still Spider-Man.
Well, no, okay, you've seen the trailer. What's your like vibe or your kind of take on it so far?
I'm really interested. I didn't really know where they were kind of going with this, or what they were going to do, because like at the end of No Way Home, it's very bleak. You know, it's just like, I know Peter Parker's life is pretty terrible anyway, but this is like, they really wiped the slate clean. So I was more interested like how they were going to have him exist in the world where he still has to see superheroes. You know, he still has to go see the Fantastic Four. He still has to exist with the Avengers being there, despite the fact that they don't know who he is anymore. And also set up for Doomsday, right? So there was a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. And the trailer confirmed a lot of really cool things. I like the fact that he is older, like he's a grown man now. He's not a kid. He's like in his 20s. So this is 5 years after No Way Home. So he could actually, he's in his 20s. And he's a proper adult. And he seems to have developed more of the Peter Parker attitude that he has rather than the Mr. Stark thing. Which, look, I liked. I thought it was a fresh take on it, but it's nice to see Peter Parker being Peter Parker. He has some like life experience. And we now got an answer that he is more kind of, ear to the ground. He's like a friendly neighborhood local Spider-Man who's dealing with city level problems rather than world enders, which we don't really need. Like Wonder Man, I have downloaded. I can't wait to see it because you sold me on it. And this is kind of the same thing where the trailer looks like he's going to be, he's going to fight ninjas, but that kind of happens. I mean, the Hand are there anyway. We know they exist because of Daredevil, and Daredevil's probably going to be in this movie, even though Charlie Cox said he's not. He 100% is in that movie. There's no way he's not.
He also said even if he was, he couldn't say. But
exactly.
He couldn't say, but it's okay. He basically didn't confirm one way or another.
Yeah, if the Hand are in it, Daredevil's in. It's just that's the way it works. Punisher's in it, which is great. I mean, Punisher and Spider-Man, like obviously the Punisher debuted in Spider-Man, so it is very, very fitting. It's a cool way to use him. It's a cool way to get him into the MCU proper. And I think this will be fun. Will it be the best movie ever? Probably not. Will it be the best Spider-Man movie ever? Doesn't really need to be, but it does need to kind of set the table going forward. So I don't expect this to tie into Doomsday that much, if at all, but it is kind of cool that it's like, okay, we know where Spider-Man is. We know what he's doing. We know where he is. So when he does get pulled in the battle world, it won't be just so random, But what I hope happens here is, and I think Disney I actually heard the plot of the Kang Dynasty, like what it was supposed to be. It actually sounded amazing. And
okay, I'll tell you what, I'd love to hear that in a second, but I'll just throw in some thoughts. Like you said, I think Daniel Day Kim, who's directing this one, is one of the like best gets that post Endgame like Marvel has had, and I'm gutted it took them so long to realize it. But Shang-Chi or Wonder Man would be in my top 5 of all the post Endgame Marvel things incredibly easily. So I'm glad that he's been handed this project, and like I know superficially, like having ninjas in it is a bit similar to Shang-Chi, but yeah, it's just obviously kind of like watch trailers with skepticism. But like you said, it's nice to see, because the fun thing about reading Spider-Man in the comics is more than any other Marvel character, he grows up.
Yeah, he grows up.
Yeah, the X-Men kind of go from like surly teenagers to surly adults. The Fantastic Four go from being adults to adults with kids. But Spider-Man probably goes from being a teenager to an adult to, depending on your timeline, a father and ultimately a teacher in the school he used to be bullied in and that kind of stuff. And there's something really satisfying about seeing his life change in lots of subtle little ways. So like you said, it's cool that he's in his 20s now. And I like that even if all the most exciting stuff is in this trailer, I like that this movie's more eclectic. It's not built around just who the villain is, who the villains are. In that case, it's like, oh, it's a bit of Punisher, a bit of ninjas, a bit of...
But here's the thing, though. No Way Home, we saw all his villains. They got that out of the way, which is kind of nice, because I'm kind of like, we don't really want to see Doc Ock. I don't really want to see Electro. Shocker would be cool. Kind of bring Shocker back.
I like Shocker. I mean, I know Matt Gargan is going to be in this, but he's like, even when he's awesome, he doesn't have like an emotional connection.
Yeah, like,
man.
Mysterio would be cool, but we've already seen that though. Like that's what I'm saying. We've already seen him. Like I like see more Mysterio, but you kind of did everything that you could do with Mysterio. So it's like when you're looking at his Rose Gallery, like they gave you it. So it's like what I love about this is that they actually are letting Spider-Man breathe. There isn't the expectation that you're like, oh, who's the villain going to be? It's like it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? It's like they've done all that stuff. Now they're just like, here's Spider-Man just being Spider-Man, and it's a very, very natural role for him, because one of the coolest thing about Spider-Man in the comics, as I said, not only that he grows up, is that he is that like bridge between characters or between stories. Like he'll go to the Baxter Building, he'll hang out with the Fantastic Four, he'll then go to the Avengers because he's in the Avengers sometimes. He'll then go to the X-Men. He'll interact with Morbius. He'll interact with the Punisher. He'll interact with Daredevil. We haven't really had this. And also, it's been a very, very long time since you've had like an actual secret identity of a superhero, where it's like nobody actually knows who he is. And I think that's really cool, because it's like, what does that look like? How does that actually work in 2026 or 2027, depending on, I think the Marvel Universe is in 2027. What does that look like now when they actually do not know who he is? I love it. I think it's really, really good. I think it's really, really good. Yeah, so.
I am optimistic. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think that more non-Marvel Disney movies should be made and given the space and celebration and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? If we're going to get Marvel things, I want them to be good and fun and well made. And I think it's okay to be excited about that.
I'll be honest with you. Look, having the content thing post Endgame was a terrible idea. I think Disney Marvel have learned from that, and they're like, we're not doing that again. And I think we are just going to get quality now. Like, I saw a trailer for Sonic 4 today, and even a part of me was kind of like, oh, I love Sonic 3. I'd be happy for it to end there. But I'm happy for more Sonic because it's so good. And I'm right there, which I think it doesn't really matter how much we get. I think the problem becomes when they run out of good content and it's just slop. That's when it needs to stop. And I think maybe that's what Disney have realized. Maybe that's, what culture as a whole have realized, where it's like, yeah, we're not just willing to accept garbage anymore.
What?
And that's good. And that's good.
Well, Feige's gone on record as saying that, there's there was just too many things for him to be involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, you basically said it there. They should have picked a lane. They either should have slowed the Marvel movie release down so that the Disney Plus stuff was more exciting, or they should have kept the Marvel movies going, but only done one Disney Plus a year. By doing both, it kind of dilutes the appeal of all of them, like, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, if this is the way the Marvel Universe is going, that's really, really good. I think they're aware that they were very close to doing a Star Wars or Star Trek on it, where he just killed the fan base. And it looks like they have actually managed to win everybody back. So we will see. I know there's the whole thing where, the Marvel Universe is dying. Oh my God, it's back. Oh, it's dying. It's back. But we'll see. Like, if this hits, and then if Doomsday actually is the movie they claim that it is, I think they'll be fine. But we will have to see. But as I said, it's nice to have a good trailer to break down. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm very looking forward to it.
I also want to throw in a comment that my wife made about the future of the MCU, which I'm not clever enough to say, so I'm going to credit it to her. But she says about Kate Bishop and like Miss Marvel and all them, and she said, "Do you know those young Avengers? They better hurry up. They're not going to be young for long." Like, because that's it. Because like they're taking their sweet time, like getting that team together. They've been very gradually setting up.
Now, as I said, and I won't go into it because we are quickly running out of time. But here's the thing: the actual plan for the Kang Dynasty. Look for it on YouTube. It's actually quite good. If we had just waited, all of that would have made sense. Apparently, the plan was to have several teams go against each other and fight different versions of Kang. Unfortunately, you can't do that because of what happened. So I just think all that stuff that was set up, they're all getting snapped. They're all just going to be wiped away and redone. So yeah, it sucks, but it kind of is what it is. Like, that entire phase of Disney was kind of for nothing. So it is what it is. But anyway, Keane, we're out of time, sir.
I apologize you didn't get to tell your Mario story.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll get back to
it. All right. Well, we will be back next week. And thank you very much for sticking with us. I was about to say what was going to happen next week, but let's be real. We don't know. You'll find out. We'll find out in 5 minutes when the episode's done, as always.
4 new trailers have dropped and massive news has broke. That's usually what happens when we literally stop recording. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who does follow us on YouTube, who has commented. If this is your first time listening to us on Phoenix FM, go over to Nerd to Know Media on YouTube, subscribe, you can comment directly there. Everything is for free, nerdtoknowmedia.com as well. That would help us out a lot. And let us know your comments on anything we talked about, because we love reading them. And here's the thing, if you keep them clean, we can read them on the show. So beat that.
I've done that for a while. That's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until then, I've been Cian.
I'm Dara.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.